Could Jalen Suggs be the new $30 million man? Reports are coming in that the Orlando Magic are potentially willing to give him $30 million per year in his next extension. Obviously, he has a team option at the end of this year. So, today we're going to go over what his contract could look like in the future, whether or not he is even worth the $30 million price tag that is being floated around, and what exactly that could potentially mean for the team going forward if they're trying to build around Suggs, Banchero, and Franz Wagner. But first, guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you are. 90.6% of you guys who are watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel, so join the 9.4% and become a part of the family here over at Magic Digest. We're trying to build an Orlando Magic basketball community here on YouTube. Okay, so let's get into what was the initial sort of report. Now, we've been hearing this a lot over the last part of the summer, ever since really Franz got his big payday, right? Everybody was like, oh, the next guy up is Jalen Suggs. Well, there are reports that are saying before the October 21st deadline that the Magic are really, really, really going to try to get a deal done with Suggs. Both parties are obviously pretty interested. There's no ill will on either side, and they're saying that it's likely that Suggs will earn $30+ million annually. It almost looks like $30 million is kind of the floor as to what is going on in these trade talks. So I think that is a really interesting little nugget, little point that you might, if you don't think that he's worth $30 million a year, well, guess what? That might be the floor to his to these negotiations and what his agent is setting. Okay, so when we talk about Jalen Suggs, we obviously have to mention kind of a few different things, but what he's really good at is obviously he makes his bread and butter on the defensive end of the floor. Second team all defense last year. That's going to be a really, really good component or piece to his negotiation process. He's obviously going to be the best perimeter defender that we have, and he's going to be out there. KCP is a very good defender, but he's going to be out there guarding the team's best player on the perimeter. He is now going to get that number one point guard role. It looks like obviously Markelle Fultz is gone, but it looks like he's still going to be ahead of Cole Anthony, Anthony Black. This is like it was last year, right? He is that main piece, that main ball handler. Can he be that facilitator? If he shows that in the first just like little point of the season, then at a certain point next year, whenever you're really trying to reevaluate his deal, he could turn into he could end up asking way more money than he is this year. So that's something to keep into account. Okay. So let's look at how he performed last year. When we take a look at what Jalen Suggs did, it was 13 points. His three-point shooting went up to about 40%. And in the previous two seasons, he had 27% from three in both those years. That is a super promising number. The only thing when we're taking a look strictly at the box score here, the little stat sheet, is going to be the 2.7 assists per game. I've mentioned this just a second ago, and I've harped on it in a ton of videos. Guys, look, it has been said that Paolo Banchero really needs another setup man, and I think overall for the offense to really work and click, you do want that setup guy. That was supposed to be Fultz at a certain point. If Suggs can be that guy, he is well worth $30 million per year. Would not even be a question. He would be a borderline all-star if he could get those assist numbers up at a certain point. If the Magic were to take that next step, I mean, you got a guy who's all defense, going to be the leading assist man on a playoff team. That is going to get you some recognition. Also a guy who's shooting pretty decent splits and is going to be averaging, potentially 15 points per game next year. That would be the range I'd like to see. When you pay a guy $30 million annually, look, he's making like above Caruso, Andrew Nembhard, like he is far ahead of those guys in contract, right? So you're looking at him, you'd want him to end up actually putting up some serious numbers. But other things and other points is probably just how this team is going to build or continue to grow if they were to pay him that much money. So let's take a look at the salary cap. I've actually brought this graphic up in previous years. Look, the Magic have done a lot to try to mold this salary cap in preparation for giving Paolo Banchero that max contract, which could potentially be a super max deal if it really came to that. But look at a rookie max extension for Franz Wagner put us in a bit of an interesting spot and a little bit of uncharted territory. In the past 10 or so years, it's always been, look, we are doing A-okay on our contracts right now. Like, we don't have any of these players. We don't have to deal with all these max contracts. But after the new CBA was just recently approved, and now we're going into the first year of that, teams are kind of on a little bit of a shorter leash, right, with some of these deals. So when we take a look at the Orlando Magic, like I said, Paolo is going to get that max contract. Now, the money, it just depends on how he plays this year. We'll see if he qualifies for any sort of supermax extension. They extended Franz. He's got he's got the rookie scale max extension. And then we're looking at Mo Wagner, who they brought back on a pretty decent deal. Jonathan Isaac's contract was restructured. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is actually, I believe, the highest paid player on the payroll. And then obviously you got expiring deals like Wendell Carter Jr. and then a few other guys on those rookie deals. Obviously, Jeff Howard, Tristan Da Silva, Anthony Black. Goga Bitadze was just recently brought back as well, but he's on a team-friendly deal. So they did a lot of these team-friendly deals, but if you were to pay Jalen Suggs, man, it is that core, and they are earning potentially over $150 million per year. That is a lot. That is a scary number. That does concern me. But when you take a look at the rest of the salary cap, I will say we're not in too bad of shape because I brought back a lot of those guys in this offseason for cheaper than potentially what they could have got elsewhere. But I would just say, just in general, that we didn't break the bank to keep any of those guys, right, when we re-signed them. So I think we're okay on the salary cap front. Jalen Suggs, as a player, if he continues to take rational steps and continues to have a good fit for this team, is worth $30 million. But like I said, that seems to be the floor in these negotiations. Now, I have made a video earlier on Jalen Suggs. I have talked about his contract situation in prior videos. I think this was maybe a few weeks ago when initial reports were saying after that Franz deal was done that they are looking straight over to Suggs to get him wrapped up. Well, there was this poll, and I just want to bring it back because I think it's a very interesting poll. It's something that I wasn't exactly on board with initially, but I've kind of obviously come around to it. Jalen Suggs ends up with a 5-year, $150 million contract. That's $30 million per year. Quick math right there. Thoughts? 73.8% say just right, 14.8% too much, and then not enough at 11.4%. I think if it's a 5-year deal, I think that is under most circumstances. I think this Jalen Suggs deal is fine. But I think the not enough has got to be the per year number there, because 5 years is a lot. I'm thinking a lot of people are saying 4 years, 120. I think that's where he can end up. This is a lot of money that we're still talking about. I know that the cap is moving and you kind of have to readjust your eyeballs a little bit to how much these guys are getting paid, because it's ever changing with the salary cap consistently increasing, all these new deals, but that's still a lot of money. And compared to like I had up previously, the rest of the payroll, it's going to put him at the very top echelon of this roster, and obviously among some of the highest paid players in the NBA outside of the guys with max contracts. But should be very interesting to see what the Orlando Magic end up doing with Jalen Suggs. Guys, let me know in the comments below if you think that Jalen Suggs is going to be the next $30 million man, and if he is worth that much money for the Orlando Magic. But I will see you guys next time with some more Orlando Magic basketball content.